Hello, everyone. Welcome to Type Talks. Today we have Alexa Crozier, and she is our honorary ENFP. And today we're going to be talking about the NE Heart, which is a very interesting topic. Ooh la la, into the secrets of the ENFP mind. Alexa, would you like to uncover some of this mystery for us?
Where to start? Well, if I could make it as simple as possible, which is very hard for me to break it down, was the NE Heart is a conscious choice. So people that occupy that space as the dominant function of an ENFP, they are naturally going to be in that space. The FI Heart, as they want to call it, or as Scott Powers called it on YouTube, is a space that people occupy that is an unconscious choice. So I would say generally people that occupy that space get there because they of a connection, so to speak. So they kind of just weasel their way in there, and there they remain.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had a conversation about it, and I actually wrote about it in conjunction to what you told me. So I wrote, ENFPs reserve a part of themselves for people who they let into their FI heart. If you pass their FI test, you're in their heart for the long run, and they care about you, and you're in their heart for life. And that means no matter what the change in circumstance, they will always cherish you. Even if you are no longer in their life physically, there's still a space for you emotionally in their heart.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, I feel in a healthy sense, not a lot of people will occupy that space. I feel if you're on kind of more of an unhealthier spot on the spectrum, especially if you haven't really done any of the FI work, you're going to find that you're going to feel torn in that area quite a bit of who's occupying that space, why. And if you're kind of fulfilling that void within yourself with those people versus actually just genuinely having people that are close to you.
That's so
but
cool.
What you said is very
true, yeah. And with ENFPs, they tend to be like, make people feel really close to them. So that like a lot of people can be in their NE heart, but like people think that they're also in your FI heart, but they aren't, because like the FI is like kind of private, but people don't know about it. So can you go a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, this is something I'm going to refer to my notes about, because I thought, and I was like, how do I say this without sounding like an asshole? Like, it's not use people. It isn't. I feel like we're naturally curious individuals, so we're going to want to ask questions. And I feel like it's an emotional transaction, so to speak. It's almost like you pick up a book, you're going to read the bits and pieces of it that you resonate with, and you're going to kind of put it down and you reference it later if you need to. And that's, in a sense, what we do with people. And it's not to come off like we're using them, or like maybe to some degree it can be if, again, you're in that unhealthy place. But I said it as the curiosity comes from the NE realm. So that wanting to know and understand, but it's like fuel to our FI, because it's intellectual gain, so to speak, for us. We learn a lot of things through people and through what they have to say and what they share with us. I think in the same sense, if they make us feel safe and okay, to naturally have that progression in a relationship or a friendship where we do start to expose more of ourselves, that's when they kind of just enter that FI zone. That's an unconscious choice by us. So there they remain.
That's so cute. And they always have a space in your FI heart. No matter the like where you are, no matter the circumstance, it's like still there. And it's really precious in that sense. And Alexa, I was wondering if you could expand on the criteria to get into your FI heart.
Well, personally, honestly, the richness of a connection with a person. So each person that I know I've personally come into contact with, which is many in my lifetime, it can't just be, it's funny, I found people off of a first time interaction, I've had deeper connections with than people I've known for 10 plus years. Just that, not to say those people end up cultivating a space inside me, but they're more likely had we interacted longer or got to know each other, you know, instead of just off a whim of meeting randomly. Those people are more likely to enter that space. And I think what it is when they are naturally curious or into that kind of same growth mindset that I'm at, or into. So when they can reflect back to me things that I'm like, wow, I see myself there, or I can really empathize with what they're saying. And it doesn't need to be like always talk about feelings. It could be just their passions, their mindset, what they want to do with their life. I think that sense of awareness is what gets you in my heart. So, and just that like sense of being free with them, free to explore anything, free to be myself. That's so important to me. Just that authenticity. I can't, not that I don't trust, but I can't fully get there if I don't feel like I'm 100% myself. So if I feel like something's missing, naturally, I think they'll gravitate more to the any realm. So we'll have a lot of fun together. We'll talk a lot. We'll do a lot of stuff. But in essence, they haven't quite got to that space inside of me where they'll stay forever, so to speak. But it doesn't mean I don't treasure them or cherish them in some capacity. So
Yeah, like you can still love them with your any heart, but still like the FI hasn't been tapped yet.
yeah.
And that's really well said, Alexa. And if anyone's wondering, like, where's Alexa's any? Because she's very on task. It's because she cared so much that she wrote notes with this topic, because she's like, I have to help Joyce. And then she just wrote notes. So now she can stay on topic. So yeah, that's
like, you always go, it's what you're describing. So in my mind, Joyce, before I started this interview, I was like, I want to make sure like I say, you know, the thing that I really wanted to say, but I know my mind's going to want to go 10 different places. And so that's why I kind of made the notes, because I'm like, okay, stay on task, stay on task. At the same time, like, there's no fun in that. So now I'm just going to be like, screw the book. Let's just do this.
So you wrote notes that you're not going to use. Okay. Do you find like as an ENFP, sometimes people mistaking you for being flirty?
Yeah. Oh, all the time. All the time. Again, that curiosity, not that it kills the cat. I mean, it might sometimes, but going up to people, especially in my line of work, I bartend and serve, and on the natural or on the daily, I'm always coming into contact with so many different kinds of people. And a good example of this would be I come up to some people, I introduce myself to some degree. I kind of skip the theatrics of all that in serving, just like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and this is what I want to offer you. I'm just like, hey, let's get to it. What's going on? And they kind of warm up to me very quickly. And I think with that, there's a natural progression of just what we share with each other. And in that small interaction, they go, whoa, like she ignited something here. And I'm like, I'll take full credit for that, for sure. But at the same time, they were in a space to receive it. So when people are in a space to receive what I believe Annie's offering, they can almost find it intoxicating. And then they feel like, oh, wow, that's to some, mind you, not everybody, but that's a very attractive thing. So they might think, oh my God, she is probably showing this side of it to me because she is into me in some degree. When in fact, probably 99.9% of the time I'm not. So, but it happens quite often. So it's interesting.
Yeah, sometimes like ENFPs are very charming, but they have a detached side, so they don't always feel like emotionally attached when sharing like stuff, while another person might be. So the disconnect happens when the ENFP is having fun with their NE and the other person is taking it seriously and bonding over it, and then there comes the one-sided relationship.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if the person that I'm going to say this about is going to hear this, but they said, yeah, I had to spend some time away from you because I think I started to like you, but you didn't like me. And I was like, chances are that is correct. So, and that was just off of conversations we had had. So I find that, not that it's a burden, because I'm okay, like I'm not awkward about it, but if people bring it up or if they get the wrong impression, I'm just like, yeah, sorry, that's just me. That's just me being me. I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to the cashier at the grocery store. So just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens when the curiosity runs out on a person?
Of the person?
Yeah.
So that's when, and I think other ENFPs can attest to this. It's almost like you go on autopilot mode. Like I've had dinner with a friend. We'll have like a great, first kind of connection off the bat, and we'll keep talking and talking, and then it fizzles out a bit. And then I'm just like sitting there, and I'm consciously aware that I'm actually eating my food now. I'm like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm just not there. I'm just not registered. It's like a glazed over face. And I'm like, oh, and I want to do my best to try to get back on track. And it's not that superficial topics bore me, but to a degree, it's like there's some more things, like things that I find more fascinating. And so I do, and I've done a lot of work there. I'm like, just listen. Don't try to interject. Listen to what they have to say and do your best to respond the way, naturally, that comes natural to me. And so I would refer to that more as like my autopilot mode, where I'm just kind of like sitting there, the lights are on, but there's nothing really, cycling through my head at that time.
So you seem like you're engaged, but you're disengaged. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how can someone tell when you're disengaged?
The responses, because it'll be bad. It won't be in full, or it won't kind of take off to new things. So it's just very mundane and like, oh yeah, and oh sorry, can you repeat that, or stuff like that. Just I don't feel like I give all of myself in the response, and I'm conscious of it too. So I'm like, ooh, but then part of me is like, I don't really have much to say. This is just what's kind of coming out of me. So I think then it's probably safe to say you almost have to become an ESFP and do something that's fun. Do something that kind of picks that back up again. Or if anything, that's what we all have certain friends for, right? So some friends, they're good for those things. And if you really want to go on a huge any trip, talk to someone else that'll entertain it. So
that brings up two ideas for me. So you talk about how like maybe you'll mix it up to make it more interesting, or it's kind of like ENFPs are the most introverted extroverts, and I think when they're not interested and like the conversation's not like juicy, they'll just become introverted because their any is their driver. So if it's not stimulated, then they seem like an introvert because they have nothing to add.
I've had that many a times where I'm in a group of people and the topic itself, I'm not even remotely interested. And I just don't have the energy to give to the conversation, and I will fall back and just kind of just observe. And I feel like I'm analyzing at that point, getting a feel, almost like what any would do externally. It then becomes more of I wouldn't say an FI process, but you're internally taking things in differently. So maybe, I don't know if NI users do this. I don't sit there and like analyze, oh, that person means this because they mean this. I just sit there and observe. I'm not getting really a feel for everything, but then at least I can see people showing parts of themselves to me without me having to engage with them. So in essence, that's where I'm just like, okay, I'll sit back and, I have nothing to give to this. So it just kind of, it's not the best scenario to be in, but I generally try to avoid those for the most part.
Yeah, my ENFP best friend, she takes the observational role when she like is disengaged, and she'll just watch people and like think about it in her head, which seems really introverted, but she's like a very clear extrovert. So with your any heart, what makes you accept people into your broad heart? Like, what about people in general?
Wherever I go, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to show up as myself, take it or leave it. So for those that are receptive, come on in, like, let's do this. And those that aren't, I don't take it offensively. I'm just like, not always for everybody. And to be quite honest, not to toot my own horn, but I don't think many people have like, they don't find me like annoying or weird. They might find me weird. I've been told I'm a little weird. But I think that now that they've been in close quarters with me, especially my coworkers, for so long, they just get this is Alexa, but then they can appreciate all the nuances that the NE brings. So just like if they're having, a tough time, I might come in with just this most outrageous thing to say or do or ask them. And they're like, oh my God, you just changed my mind or my mood or any of that stuff. So I feel like it can also have really nice effects on just everyone that you're with at the time. So if E users would be like, this is awesome because she's helping, she's doing something by being herself, and she's helping the whole group, kind of get along or get going, or kind of inspiring. I feel like it inspires people to want to do differently, like whether it's in their job, their relationship, their life, kind of gives you a little kickstart.
That's cool. So do you feel like as an ENFP, you kind of renew people's perspectives, or you make them feel like a fresh energy has been hit on them, if that makes sense?
I would say yes, and only because of what I've heard back from people when they speak to me. So they're generally they'll say stuff like, oh, I never thought about it that way before. Or, yeah, you know, you're right. I haven't, I'm going to repeat myself. I haven't thought about it that way before. I hear that all the time. Just like an interesting perspective. It might not be like, oh my God, did you know like that was a meteor and that came from an alien planet? And then, you know, all of a sudden it's like going off on like a tangent, like really crazy all the time. It could be just grounded in reality sometimes. Sometimes they just need that perspective or that possibility, thinking outside the box. And I don't always have to go off into some extreme fantastical land to get the point across to some people. But I feel like that's more on my ability to kind of just pick up, you know, like who I can do that with and be fantastical with and fun with, versus kind of needs it broken down to reality. So
yeah, that's so true. So with your FI heart, do the people who are in it know that they are in it, or are you the only one who knows?
I think they know. I also think, oh my God, do you do this with everybody? And that is not true. So sometimes they're probably like, wow, like I think they know that they're important to me on a deeper level than most. And I had this conversation before on Twitter with someone. I said, when they're in that space, for me at least, the things I do for them are effortless. They become almost like second nature, like not second nature. It's like first. It's like, this is what I would do, so I'm going to do it for them. And it's like they become a part of me in that way. So if I'm going to, you know, if I drive down past someone's house that I care about, I might think, oh, maybe I'll just drop off something like their favorite candy bar on their doorstep. Or I'll pop in and say hi, or I'll say, hey, this reminded me of you, and I'll send it off. Like those things come naturally, and it comes here first. So if you cultivate this space, it like sends a message here on how to react, so to speak. So, and then NE gives it the possibility of anything. So it almost happens right in the moment. It's very random when it happens. It's just a connection that gets created. You'll be like, oh my God, I just thought of something. And like, Dan, you need to see this, or Joyce, you need to see this, or, and I feel like it's also in my actions as well. It's not just in things that like I'm saying, but it's just like showing up for them, thinking about their perspective, not just my own. So it becomes very fluid that way for me.
That's so awesome. So I want to ask, what makes you feel seen? Because you said that a part of the FI heart criteria is when someone sees you for you and you feel free to be you.
That's a question for sure. What makes me feel seen? Wow.
I guess another way to put it is like, what makes you feel not seen in day-to-day life? Like, what makes you feel like you have to hold a part of you back?
I feel when I said before, like if you can't be and just be you, whether that's in silence, whether it's just being okay to be honest with how you feel in that moment, to be a little wacky and crazy. So I feel like if I'm ever in an environment or around a person where I feel like I have to contain myself, not that they're not great in other ways. Before that probably would bug me. Now I look at it as, okay, maybe this is just like a pattern that exists between the two of us. And I'm going to look at it for a place of growth. Like, what are they asking me to be that maybe doesn't come as natural to me? And so in that sense, I'm kind of trying to embrace that more. But again, like to be seen, to really be seen is to be known, to always be changing, and to accept that about me too. And to just understand that like there's parts of me that might not. I think the fascination comes from is when they can completely respect and admire me and my wholeness, even though the wholeness is so sporadic and just so all over the place. And to just completely be okay with that it's not always as grounding. It's not always as, it's very like, let's take off, let's do this and try this. And to instead see that, even if they're like, that's not my cup of tea personally and how I live my life, but for them to admire that, to see it, to respect it, and to also be inspired by it in some ways, and to love me for it, to genuinely love me and not try to change me, would be to be seen, I would think. I'm sure that answer is going to change in like a year. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. It's like you just want to be loved in your complexity. So you're saying like even in your sporadic-ness, in your lowness, it's like I feel like ENFPs also gauge how they feel seen or like how close they feel by someone by how much that person can accept their darker side. Like, can they understand your darker side? Like, do they hold space for it? Like, are they capable of getting it?
Yeah. That's very true. I feel when we're in that kind of darker zone, it is very complex. Sometimes we can't articulate it correctly. And there's nothing worse for me than not being able to extrovertedly, like just say it. And if I can't do that, it's like, it's nice. For instance, something you just did, you took all the crazy words I just said and you summed it up perfectly. When you have that nice balance in a friendship or a relationship, it's beautiful because it's like, wow, thank you for making this make sense. And even if your interpretation was wrong, you tried to do that. And that means so much more than anything. So I just totally forgot what the question was. but did you ask me a question? I completely forgot. Oh no, the shadow sides, like the dark sides. I think sometimes too, we can be our own worst enemy and we might not even see it as a parallel. So we might just get caught up in that place a lot. That's why I always can't stress this enough is like, do FI work, do it, submerge yourself in it. It's helped me a lot. It's not easy. It really feels like you're just breaking every single day in some capacity. It can feel lonely. And I think FI work can be very lonely. Sometimes you want to show to the world, do you not see what I'm doing here? Like I'm doing the work and all the struggles I've gone through, just know like as a fellow ENFP, I see you, I get it, I'm doing it. It's hard, but being okay to tell the people in your life that are in your FI heart, like, this is what I'm going through. I can't make sense of it right now. And for them to be like, it's okay, I get it. That's it.
That is so beautiful. Yeah, it's like they embrace the chaoticness and they like have a place for it. And it's sometimes like they're even trying. So you mentioned the element, like even if they don't get it right, as long as like they put an effort into trying to honestly get it, that means a lot to you too.
Yeah, and sometimes to just know that sometimes I just need my space. I need my space to figure it out. It has nothing to do with them, and that they're not taking everything personally. It's the saying, it's not you, it's me, is true with the ENFPs. It's always us. It's always us. Like we know it and we know it. And to not take that on like it's your own. And I think maybe FE users might be more inclined to want to take that on to fix it and help. But that's not what we need. We have the answers, genuinely speaking. Generally speaking, I know when I speak and ask a question to somebody, if I'm trying to sort something out, they'll listen very empathically. Sometimes they won't say a word. And by the time I'm done speaking, I've already answered my own damn question. That's usually how it works with us. But to know that I have a space to just be able to either vent, to talk, to gain a perspective, to just talk out loud and not be judged for it. Not being judged feels very great because we judge ourselves all the time.
Yeah, it's the FI, right? It's kind of like really hard on you sometimes. And it can be crippling hard sometimes. With my ENFP, sometimes she FI hammers herself more than other people do. And do you ever are you ever FI harsh on yourself? Like,
yeah, I for sure am. I think the fears that come up for me are generally around being frozen, staying stuck somewhere, recognizing that this is comfortable. We like it here. We're in control of this. So I feel FI in unhealthy states kind of wants to control things. They need that validation. They need the control, or it needs the control. And to let that go is scary. To let that kind of fully just burst open from you, and that unknownness, and it's scary. Yeah. And you would think, oh my God, Annie's going to be so excited because there's so many possibilities. That is so part of it. But keep in mind, people, if we have the ability to see all the good possibilities, we also have the ability to see all the bad ones too. So in essence, it's almost like we put ourselves through this dwelling process on purpose because we need to, it's like filtering. We have to keep filtering out the bullshit.
That is so true about how NE sees all the good possibilities and all the bad ones. That can be overwhelming. So I see how valuable it would be to have someone who could let you process it with them.
That's the one thing that's so important. It's just feeling like you have a space to just come undone that way. It's very valuable.
That's so true. So Alexa, what are some of the ways you indulge in all the possibilities? Like, where do you get your NE fix?
Oh my God. It's almost like literally like picking up tons of different things, trying them. I wouldn't say I'm a master at any particular thing. I can talk my way in and out of it like I am, but that doesn't mean I really know what I'm saying or doing. I think it just comes from finding enjoyment in almost all things I try to do. So, and I try to live my life like that, like as an Enneagram 7 as well. It's just like, I want to find the fun. I gravitate towards that. So it's any mundane thing, I'll try to make it fun. And I use the NE as a way to see the possibilities to do that. So I think people have this like I think they have this like weird opinion that NE is always just like wanting to go like in extreme fashion. I'm like, no, sometimes it's just like the next thing or 10 things up. It's not always this crazy world. It's just being able to see a multitude of different ways to accomplish something or do something. And sometimes in the realm of a conversation, that's when it can get kind of fantastical or off the grid, so to speak. But I try to be more, sorry?
Oh yeah, you try to be more. Continue.
Just more grounded in it now. Because if I get too off track and tell me, I can waste time like you have no idea. I can waste time in that zone so much. Not that I see it as a waste of time, but most people are like, can you stop procrastinating and do something? I'm like, oh, I don't know, I kind of enjoy the space a lot right now. So I would say I love it because the ability to problem solve or do things on the fly in chaos, I'm like, this is my brain. Like, this is nothing. So when stuff's happening, like especially at work, if I'm relating this back to my job, when there's tons of different things going on, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I know exactly how to lay it out perfectly, where I know exactly what to do, where to be. And I don't lose my cool in that frame of mind because I find it exciting. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I think that's the main, not kickback, but the main thing that I appreciate about the NE is just being able to survive through chaos like that. Same with this pandemic going on. There's so many people going crazy about all the stuff going on. And I've been like, I'm a little bit more reserved about it because I'm in a safer zone myself. But you could very easily just trick yourself into seeing all the worst case scenarios of things and getting caught up in that. But trying to be more grounded in the FI very much helps. So.
That's so beautiful.
That's the question.
Yeah, it does. You illustrate a very perceiver trait where they sometimes like they waste time with like taking in stuff, like maybe like a random video about their interest or like it'll get sidetracked onto this thing and then they'll have another rabbit hole and then people will be looking at them and go like, what have you spent your time on? And then they're like,
I know, right? Like you look down, nothing's done. You're like, well, a lot happened up here, so
yeah, but it allows you like react on the spot. You're kind of like very good with the flexibility and adaptability and being a cool like just person who is able to mold themselves to what the situation needs at that moment. Because you don't have like a set plan, so you're able to be flexible, and that allows for like a maximal adjustment to the best like way to adjust to a scenario.
Yep. That about sums it up. It's good, and being able to have fun through it all too.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I see a lot of J types just going, "Oh my God, like this just went wrong. I have so much to do," and I will grab them by the shoulders. I'll be like, "It's okay. What do you need? I'm here." And they're like, "Don't you have things to do?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I can do it all." Like I'm like, I don't care. Like, and I feel when you can embrace that nature. So even if you don't have whether it's any or any kind of like Enneagram influence that makes you that way, but to try to embrace the fun of those times where you don't have control. Be like, okay, I can respond one of two ways. I can freak out and make it 10 times worse, or I can just choose to feel the anxiety or whatever is going on inside of me and let that fuel it. I always say my favorite saying is, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. I'm excited. I try so much. Even for this interview, I was like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of nerve-wracking a little bit because I don't do that. But then I'm like, well, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you. And
I'm excited to talk to you too, Alexa.
yeah. And that realm inspires people. I love it because when you see their face light up even a little bit, you're like, oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah.
You always light up my face, Alexa. That sounds weird. I don't mean it like that, but you're right. Like perceivers, like they kind of bring the fun to situations, or they like, jazz it up with their own like rhyme. Because I feel like perceivers sometimes they operate on their own rhythm, so it kind of like makes people feel at ease if like the situation is tense, but they have like a casual rhyme to them, and it calms people down.
My coworker would agree with you 100% because she's the type that she's like, why aren't people doing what they're supposed to be doing? And then I make a point of saying, have you told them? And I kind of casually walk in. I'm like, well, what do you need? I think they just appreciate when someone actually asks if they need them to do anything. I'm like, but you need to vocalize that need. Like you need to say it. Whereas I can kind of see, it's not even an intuitive thing. I'm like, people can see you need help. Like you're pissed off about something or you need something done. But to expect it to come naturally, I told my friend this. I said, look, you can't expect people to be like you. You are the way you are. It's valuable. It's important. But we're more, and I explained it in Myers-Briggs sense. I'm like, we're not as structured. We're not as detail-oriented. So if you can assign a task, they will gladly do it. But you have to, like, if that's the kind of like structure you want to maintain, you have to implement it. It just can't exist here.
That's true. And sometimes like when you don't know, like people will dilly-dally and like, I don't know, if there's something funner to do, they might do that. And it might piss off the TJ more. And then it's like, why are you dilly-dallying? But we don't really know why they want us to do something. But yeah, Alexa, that is so, so cool. So you mentioned being an Enneagram 7. And I wonder if, do people ever think that you're not taking stuff seriously because you're positive? Like, they think that you're lighter about it than you are, or because you try to make it fun, but maybe they misinterpret it as you not taking it seriously.
I think the thing too is like we'll try to downplay things like with a joke, or we'll be like, yeah, like that was pretty crappy, wasn't it? And but inside we're like, yeah, that sucked. In my earlier years, absolutely. For the longest time, I would hear, you're not living up to your potential. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And I'm just like, yeah, but I'm having a great time. And I'm like, just don't worry about it. Things are fine. And in reality, I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And you're like, I don't want to feel that shit. So I think now with the kind of place that I'm in now, I try to do as an Enneagram 7 more listening. Just listen. Don't always have to respond. And you can kind of see where the lightness is needed. You really do. I feel like that's a thing that 7s are very good at. We can see kind of when it's necessary or okay to do that. Like if someone just said their mom died, I'm not going to make a joke. Yeah. That would be just no. And maybe some people do because they're uncomfortable. That's awkward. Like just remove yourself. Yeah. But I think what I've noticed too is sometimes that it's not even that we don't not carry a seriousness. I think we have it as our internal driver. Like we know this is serious, it needs to get done. But we want to show that in a way that makes it fun for everybody, including ourselves. Like if I'm going to do something, I get the weight of it, but I'm still going to enjoy doing it. And I want that experience for everyone that I work with or that I'm with, whether it's we're going on a trip together, to like, I'd be the type of person like, oh, we missed the train, big deal. What can we do while we wait? So I get the seriousness of it. I'm like, we might miss our next connection. We might do this, but we can't change it. So what can we do now and enjoy it? Yeah. So I feel like that helps a lot, and it gets people kind of out of that freaky zone of wanting to control everything.
Yeah. I also wonder if it's like a part of extroverted intuition's optimism. So it's kind of like if something bad is happening, there's always a good possibility, and like you're kind of reminding people of that possible good possibility that they could be taking. It's like, well, it's not that bad. You could do this, and then it could be better. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing I tried to wrap my head around for so long with the extroverted intuition, because again, with the NE heart and the FI heart, in the NE realm, when I deal with people on a daily basis, I would say over 95% of people are in that space. So they're also, what they don't realize, especially with people online trying to type people that they've never met or that they see in an interview like you or I talking, they might look at us and be like, oh, you're an ISFP or you're this. And you know what? Have at it. And really, if that's what you think, that's fine. But at the same time, understand, like, just like how you're not getting the richness and depth of me because it's not that I'm not being myself. It's just something that exists between the two people right now talking. It's like you're seeing this play out this way. You're also seeing it through the lens in which you see and what you cognitively recognize. So that's how I try to say to people is like, be a little bit more generous in your assumptions and check in with people and have conversation about it. If you really have a question before you kind of just make like a statement about what you think might be, I always am like, ask yourself why, or what could be different about it that you're not seeing. And most people don't want to think that way, but I think that perspective is helpful. So, and it's another reason why I don't take things really seriously in general. So if someone's having a bad day, I'm not going to take it seriously because it could be one of many different reasons. If it's landing on me, then I need to kind of assess what about me am I not really registering right now that is, affecting me in this situation.
yeah. I wonder if that's like FI awareness, that like everyone has their own FI. It might be triggered on that day. It has nothing to do with you. It's like separate from you, and you're okay with that because you know that. And I wonder if, yeah, like someone's gonna look at my eyelashes today because I was trying on magnetic lashes, and they're gonna go like, she looks so ISFP, like she just has that eyeliner, like she has that like artistic look. She's gotta be one. But they're only seeing me in like this state. And with Alexa, like you're really random and full of energy. It's just that with interviews, it seems like there's a composedness that you have to your personality too, that you bring out for interviews. So you're like, gotta be a little composed. And then I'm like, Alexa, like
the president of the United States.
yeah, Alexa's officially at ESTJ because she's so like stiff. But yeah, like Alexa, she'll send me like videos of her NE like at full blown, but like in an interview, like she's not gonna see like why she should be NE right now. But I've seen it, so I know that it's there. So like I don't know, like you'll do this thing that I see NE users doing. They'll mock people. Like you'll do an impression of Russell Brand.
It's so funny, but like get me to do an accent just saying anything and I'm like like I can do it, but I'm like I need to know, like impersonating a person is so much better. Oh, that's
like
awesome.
yeah, I feel like the SI of ENFPs is able to get at the concrete specific things that person does, and then they'll like mimic it in any way. So like they'll do it so well. And my best friend who's an ENFP also does impersonations of people to mock them at times. Like she used to, not anymore, but she'd go like, she does them so perfectly too. I think it's maybe a perceiver thing because I find perceivers have a smidge more chaoticness, and with chaoticness comes impersonations because they just find it hilarious. So they'll just do it.
Oh God, all the time. Sometimes I'll answer the phone a certain way and I'll be like, whoa, did that just happen? Like, what did I do? I know it's a certain person. My friend and I, we talk to each other in accents all the time. It's just stuff like that. I'm like, that's why I'm like, how do people, and this is not a judgment, but I'm just like, don't you want that? Like, do you ever do that with people that you care about? Do you ever like get goofy or do things? And I'm like, do you ever want to do that? And I'm like, because me, I'm just like, that's just happening. Like the other day, I was sitting in here with my buddy, and as he played a song, and I just started full on like trying to dance, but just like mimicking the singer and dancing along and having a good time. And I'm like, see, like if that never happened, would we really be having fun quarantining? Probably not. We would just be sitting in
Yes, you're the essence of spontaneity, Alexa. You just like have fun spontaneously. That's great. So do you have like a signature dance? Like
Oh my God. I have a signature, I can't dance at all dance, but that's when you'd need some SE to come in. I'm like, okay, I need to find an ESFP or like an ISFP, somebody that knows what they're doing here. But I think, again, it's like the mimicking thing. You kind of can take in the sound and everything, and you just kind of move your body to it. Like, I'm like, not that it looks good, but it's entertainment. That's why it's funny, or it's compelling. Because it's more entertaining than it is like good. It's not technically good, but like the technique that I have is non-existent in dance. But
absolutely.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy
it seems like
you can just do that on the dance floor. I can't. I'm like, give me a drink and I can get out there just fine.
Yeah, it seems like SC and NE, like they're observing functions that are extroverted. So when they're bored, like they'll try to like find a way to spice it up or make things more interesting and entertaining. So that's why like they like mimicking or like doing things that stir the pot, because it might be too the same or like not stimulating. So they'll purposely create stimulation. So I don't want to keep you any longer because you have another video with Caitlin, the Strengths Finder coach. And guys, totally watch that. I'll link it below, and I'll link Alexa's information below. She is very fantastic, funny. She's really hilarious in so many ways. Like there's never a boring day with Alexa. Like you will be infinitely entertained, and you'll just be in high spirits with her presence around. Like I know she does that for me, so I know she'll do that for you too.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for shedding light on your heart. It was very touching to the viewers, I'm sure. And have a safe quarantine, you all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.